Kanayo, I still can't see Prof. I wanted him to go live on his own phone so I can then request to join him, but Instagram does not do that. That's on Facebook. On Instagram, it's either I invite him or he invites me, and both. I'm not seeing both right now. Kanayo, what is the solution? It's almost 8 o'clock and we're still on a test run. This is strange. Akwanana, good evening, I had to say. I've sent a miracle has to happen. Or if he has someone else with him who has Instagram, then maybe he can use someone's telephone. Even sometimes Facebook is more difficult. And we have so many people on Facebook. It's saying it's unable to join. Kanayo, could you please ask him to see if he can try me on Facebook? I'm live on Facebook now. We just must find a way to do this interview. Arewa Moba, how are you? Please, Kanayo, if you can. Yes, so let's also try Facebook. I'm already live on Facebook, and we even have more people on Facebook than Instagram. The Facebook is huge. Okay, I've been trying Sunday ago. Of course, I don't expect that his phones will be on now because of the usual response from our government. Instead of calling him and trying to hear his own side, it's always muzzle. So that's Nigeria. We don't discuss with anybody. It's always go and crush him. People don't learn from history, We need to learn from history. We've had dictators in the past. What happened? Nothing. So you expect that they will kill people, they will rape people in front of their husbands, they will collect money and still kill people, and then you will now say they shouldn't talk. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think it will work now. I think so. I can see Prof now. Finally. I hope. Let me rejoice when I see his face. Yes, he's coming. Now internet will be the next one. Prof. Hello, Prof. Hello. Hello, Prof. I can see you now. So it's now the audio that is the problem. Hello, Prof. Hello. Prof. Can you hear me, Prof? Good evening. Now we're seeing him, but no audio. Hello, Prof. Can you see me, Prof? Hello, Prof. Can you see me? Good evening. Can you please check your microphone? Yeah, he's speaking, but we can't hear him. Hello, son. We can't hear him. Is anyone hearing me? Is anyone hearing me? I can't hear Prof at all. I can't hear you, Prof. Let me log you out and then you try to call me in again if you can hear me. At least we're getting closer now. Okay. So you can hear me, but you can't hear Prof. Or is anyone hearing Prof? Nikki Ebony, can you hear me? In fact, the way this thing is going, we might as well start very soon. You can hear me clearly, but you cannot hear Prof. Okay, we'll try one more time. Let's see. At least now we can see him, so it means we're nearer our destination.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Prof. Okay, I'm hearing you now, and I hope now.
Okay.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, I'm very well. I'm so sorry for all of this. I don't use Instagram at all.
Yeah, most people don't. So I understand. We belong to that generation, the analog generation, but at least now we're trying to catch up.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Good to talk to you.
I think
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You can't see me, then something is still wrong. Something is still wrong.
Could be the bandwidth connection. I don't know what the problem is.
Yes, because people can hear and see me clearly, but it seems your network. Or do you want us to try Facebook? Do you want to try Facebook?
You mean for us to do the show on Facebook?
Facebook, yes, because I'm also live on Facebook. Actually, we have a huge presence on Facebook right now.
Oh, I see. But this already been advertised on Instagram.
Let's try it for whatever it's worth. It might be clearer and the audio better. Yes,
okay,
look, I'm live. It's just Dele Momodu on Facebook. You will see so many live. I'm live.
Okay, so let me go to Facebook.
Yeah, you can also try to follow me on Facebook. So let me use another phone too. You are on Facebook, are you?
I'm on Facebook, yes.
Okay, so let me look for you on Facebook.
I was wondering, maybe we should just stick with this. I mean, since at least I can hear you, and you can hear me.
Okay, but it's going off and on, off and on. The audio, let's keep trying, and then if it doesn't work, then we'll know what to do. I'm just trying.
So should we do Facebook?
Just to be sure that I can follow you. I'm following you now on Facebook. So let me now, let's see.
the thing on Facebook is you should, because I don't have access to my public page. So maybe you have to
see it.
send me a
Okay,
friend request.
that's fine. So let's just see what's going on here. I can't even see you when I try to. Okay, let's try and stick to this. Are you on a Wi-Fi or you are using a telephone internet?
I'm using a telephone mobile hotspot from another phone.
Maybe it's not that strong. Okay.
Yes, but let me go to Facebook on my laptop, because I can do it on my laptop. I understand that Instagram, you can't do it on the laptop.
You know, Instagram, but I'm hearing you now, so we might as well just continue.
Okay.
Yes, we might as well continue. So it's good to have you finally. We will just try and manage. We don't have control over tech.
Yes.
So just a minute, please. Hello, okay. I can hear you. Just a minute. Yes. Okay. Is it because I don't want us to go off and then it becomes a problem getting you back? So we might as well manage what we have. Oh, I'm seeing you. It's not very clear, but I'm seeing you. Okay. But are you able to see me?
No, I can't see you still, but I can hear you very well. Yeah.
Wow, that's strange.
Yeah, very strange.
Okay. No problem. Let me just welcome you, at least formally, to this program. I've read through your very impressive, very, very comprehensive CV. And I must say, congratulations. I am proud that you are a fellow Nigerian. I'm so proud. And I know that you contested to be president of Nigeria not too long ago, like I did in 2011. So we have a lot to share in terms of experience.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't know what it takes to say you want to be president of the country, especially the biggest country, the most important country on the continent of Africa. But let's start. The way we like to do it is we like you to introduce yourself. We have so many people watching or listening to you right now, so kindly introduce yourself. Don't be in a hurry. Just relax. Take all the time. Instagram is very generous, so take all the time and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Well, my name is Kingsley CHINEDU MOGHALU. I am a Nigerian, a fellow Nigerian like yourself. I'm very passionate about our country, and I believe it has so many possibilities. I believe that Nigerians too are God's children, and we deserve a place under the sun. And my life is driven by that passion of how I can contribute to that vision becoming a reality in our lifetime. Most people would know that I ran for president in 2019. Many others would also know that I was deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria from 2009 to 2014, when Sanusi Lamido Sanusi was the governor of the bank. In between the bank and running for president, I was a professor of practice in international business and economic policy at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University in Boston. The Fletcher School is one of the world's leading graduate schools of international affairs, a very elite school that trains the leaders of many countries, politically, military, business, and so on and so forth, foreign service, diplomacy. Now, before I returned to Nigeria, to the central bank, most of my career was in the United Nations. And I worked for 17 years in the UN, in duty stations in New York at the headquarters, in Cambodia, in Croatia, in Rwanda, and Tanzania, and in Switzerland, going from entry level to the highest career rank. And I served in, strategic planning and political affairs. I served in legal affairs, and I served in the development finance. So that's, that's really married to a lovely woman. My wife, we have 4 children. I went to school at the London School of Economics, where I took my doctorate degree in international relations. I took my master's at the Fletcher School at University, and then I studied law for my first degree at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I am several books. I've written about four books. And I am also the founder of the Isaac MOGHALU Foundation, through which we contribute to our community in Nnewi in Anambra State and in other states of the Federation as well. We've supported.
Hello, we're not hearing you again. Hello.
Also giving lots of scholarship. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, you are back now. We lost you for a moment. Yeah.
Yes. We've also, our foundation has given lots of scholarships to poor people in Nnewi, where I come from, in our rural communities there. Recently, I was given the traditional title of Ifekego Nnewi by the Igwe of Nnewi, my hometown. Ifekego means that which is bigger than money, or someone whose dimensions cannot be captured by material things.
Okay, I wanted you to start from birth. If you could give us your trajectory right from birth, where you were born, your primary schools, your formative, period.
Yes. Oh, certainly I can do that. I was born in Lagos in 1963. To my father, Isaac MOGHALU, my late father, he's passed on now, and my mother, Lady Vida MOGHALU, who is still alive. When I was born, my father was a foreign service officer in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Lagos. I was given the names KINGSLEY, Bosa, CHINEDU, Dele, MOGHALU. My godmother was Miss Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, Fela's mother. And she gave me the Yoruba name, Dele.
Wow.
Then, after I was born, 3 months after I was born, my father was posted to Geneva in Switzerland. So I spent my first year in Geneva with him and my mother. And then he was posted to Washington, D.C., where I spent my early childhood years, went to nursery school. And then in 1967, as the Civil War was beginning, my father, like most Igbos who were in the Federal Civil Service, returned to the Eastern region, to the Cabinet Office, and later served in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the short-lived Republic of Biafra. After the Civil War ended in 1970, we lived mostly in Enugu, and I grew up in Enugu and Aba. And I attended WTC Primary School in Enugu. I attended Government College Umuahia for secondary school, Federal Government College Enugu for A-levels, and then the University of Nigeria, where I studied law. And after my law degree, and then of course law school, I did my NYSC, the National Youth Service Corps scheme, as a legal officer at Shell Petroleum in Lagos. And after that, I joined Newswatch, which was the leading news magazine in Nigeria at the time. I joined Newswatch as their general counsel, as a legal officer, and I also became a legal writer as well, and so on. So I was there for about 3 years, and while I was there, I became a special correspondent for several foreign newspapers so that I could earn dollars, because my mind was always on going abroad to study later on. And so after 3 years in Newswatch, I got admission to the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, but I could not go because I could not afford the $25,000 tuition at that time. This was in 1990. And the Naira had been devalued because of the structural adjustment program and so on. So I couldn't afford the fees. So I delayed for 1 year. And later on, I was able to reach Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, who is an alumnus of the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. And I went to him and explained myself, introduced myself, and said, I have an admission to this school. I applied because I was inspired by you. You were the foreign minister of Nigeria, and I read your profile, and I saw that this was where you went to. So I applied. And my father also told me that the Fletcher School is very prestigious, and if I could go there, I would be able to have a distinguished international career, which was what I always wanted from childhood. So Bolaji Akinyemi was so kind. He said, young man, I don't have money to pay your school fees, but I can write a letter on your behalf. So he wrote to the school and introduced me as a future leader.
Oh, we've lost you again. We can't hear you. Prof, we're not hearing you again. Prof. Oh my God. We can't hear you. If you can hear me, we can't hear you. Prof, we cannot hear you at all. Or is anyone hearing Prof? We can't hear you, sir. Wow. We've lost Prof. We can't hear you, sir. Prof. We can't hear you, Prof. This is serious. Prof, we can't hear you. Hello? Hello? We can't hear you, Prof. Prof, we can't hear you. Prof, maybe we need to log him out again and then. Yeah. It's the internet connection. Can anyone hear me? Still the same issue. Hello, Yoti. Arewa Shola Salvador, how are you? Good evening. Ria Abdul, how are you? I don't know why, and it's now refusing to connect. Internet. Please, if you have any other network, what I try to do is to gather all kinds of networks, different networks. You can see networks. It's a battle. We have to battle it. I have 2 other ones there. I have Wi-Fi. I have 2. This is proving difficult. Please, sir, if you have any other person, you can use their hotspot. Please try, or try to get close to where you have good ventilation. Mr. Bolaji Basia. Bolaji Basia, me, how are you, sir? Long time. Wow. This internet problem, Kai. And people are getting in the groove of the story. Yeah, I can see he's trying to reconnect. I can see it clearly. It's there, but it's cutting off. Yeah, his internet is not strong enough. He needs a strong Wi-Fi. That's the problem. Or he can change the location in the building. If he can get closer to the window or something, it might help. Please, sir, you can change your location. Even WhatsApp is not it. WhatsApp is not. If this doesn't work, I guess we would have to sacrifice your handsome face. I'll do a telephone call from here. I'll call you directly so that internet will not disturb us. I hope you don't mind. We just must do this thing tonight. So if it goes off, it's gone off again. Please let me call you directly. Let me call you directly. I don't mind how much it will cost, but you are that important to us. We must make sure. So I'm trying to call you now. I don't know which of your phones you have on you, but let me just try. So we use the audio.
Hello.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, Dele.
This is Dele. Yes, I think we have to just use the audio.
Okay. Oh, that's too bad. But we'll do that.
Yeah, it's at least we can hear you. Everybody wants to hear what you are saying. Your message is more important now than the messenger. So, no, no, no problem. Yes, so we're all set to hear you. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can. Okay, let's start. Can you hear him now? No, WhatsApp video is still the same thing. It's network. The problem is a network issue. It's not about. Okay, Prof.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you can hear me. Fantastic. So,
Yeah.
yes, as you were saying, please continue.
Okay, I was saying that when I wanted to go to graduate school to do my master's, and I was admitted at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, but I could not afford the fee. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, and so I declared taking up the admission for 1 year.
Yes.
And then I went to Professor Bolaji, the former foreign minister.
Yes, he's my big brother. Yes.
Yeah, also was it was a big inspiration to me. And he has gone to the Fletcher School. And so I went to him and said, I took admission to the school where you went to, but I don't have money. So now when I couldn't get the funding, I went around to a lot of people asking for financial support. And those people were very encouraging, but nobody got a check. So, even I went to a lot of well-to-do people traders in Lagos in those days. And everybody was like, wow, this is a great achievement, but business is hard and we're not able to help right now. So I went to SRC and he said, young man, I don't have the money, but I can write on your behalf. And so he wrote to the school and introduced me to the school as an alumnus. And he said that I'm going to be a future leader in Africa, and that he thinks that the Fletcher School should find its way, you know, to support me financially to do that degree. And 6 weeks later, I got a letter from the school offering me the Joint Gillespie Fellowship, worth about $25. And that is how I left the country. So Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, God bless him, he's still my very good friend till today, a mentor, and we speak all the time. But he played a very critical role in my life. Apart from my parents, you know, who of course raised me all my childhood and all that. But people like Akinyemi, you know, God used them to be a big bridge, right? Because, you know, going to the Fletcher School, such a prestigious school, taking a master's there, that's how I was able to get into the United Nations, which was my dream. And so after my master's, I joined it and worked with the UN for 17 years, you know, rising from entry level to highest career rank. I later did my doctorate degree at the London School of Economics part-time while working for the UN in Geneva. So I was saying that that was really most of my career before I returned to Nigeria in 2009, again, at the invitation of yet another Nigerian personality, this time, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, who met at the conference, the World Economic Forum in Cape Town. And, you know, we got talking and he said, look, my brother, your profile and what I can see of you, I would like you to come forward and join us as we reform the banking sector in Nigeria. There is a vacancy, a deputy governor position, and I would like to recommend you to President Buhari. Again, I was very surprised because central banking was not in my plan. My career plan was to just be a diplomat, and when I left the US, I set up my own business as a consultant in risk management and strategy in Geneva. And I think that that is what attracted Sanusi, because he too is a risk manager, and we needed risk management to contain the effects of the global financial crisis and the Nigerian crisis, which was about to wipe out a significant portion of the banking system. And so that's how I recommended me to President Yanagua, who now appointed me, and I returned to the country and joined the central bank as Sanusi's deputy. Those 5 years that I worked as deputy governor of the central bank, you know, I am very honored at the contributions I was able to make to our country through that platform. I led the implementation of the financial system reforms that stabilized the bank, creation of AMCON and so on. I led the team that developed and introduced the bank verification number, the BPN, and various other reforms that we were able to do. So it was a blessing to be able to, and an honor in my view, to be able to play this kind of role. I supervised a 17 trillion naira banking sector, 17 trillion naira, the value of the banking system at that time. So the consequence, any error in what we did would have been catastrophic. The sense of responsibility that I exercised as a person supervising that sector was huge. And of course, when I became deputy governor for operations, the whole of the payment system, I was also supervising the management of Nigeria's foreign reserves. There were about $40 billion at that time. So this was a huge responsibility. When they tell you somebody has been a governor or a deputy governor of the central bank, especially of a country like Nigeria, I think, you know, you should doff your hats to that person, because many people will not know the huge amount of responsibility that has been shouldered by such a person. but it's an honor and it was a privilege to be able to do that. So after that, I was then appointed a professor in the U.S. So I went back to the U.S., became a professor of the practice. And while I was teaching, I was looking at Nigeria now from a distance. And I was not happy with what I was seeing since 2015. And I decided that unless people like us who have a vision, who have the capability and the capacity, can strive and get political power to be able to reform the system and set Nigeria on the path to becoming a 21st century modern nation, we weren't happy with what I was seeing. So that's why I ran for president. The poverty was just killing me. The poverty in the country, when you look at people, they're so poor. And you wonder, this is avoidable. People don't need to be this poor. What we need is competent leadership. That's why I ran for president.
Fantastic. Prof, I ran for president in 2011. And obviously, I learned some lessons. I don't know if you learned the same lessons. The first lesson I learned is that you cannot win an election if you don't belong to the right party, because it's a game of number. Do you agree with this?
I agree, but in a 5 ways. Let me tell you what I learned. Dele?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. 2011 and 2019, there's an 8-year gap. Between 2019 to 2021, there is a 2-year gap. Many things have happened in these periods. So what may be true today may be true tomorrow, but maybe not as much as it was yesterday. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. In 2019, Nigerians were not ready. Somebody may say in 2023 that they may still not be ready, but we don't know. If people continue to vote for party structure that can win elections but cannot govern them, now waiting again. So I think that it is important, while recognizing the strength of the two major parties, that we also begin to educate our people to vote for candidates that can do the job, not just parties that can win elections. There is something called a bandwagon to nowhere, which is what most Nigerians jumped onto in 2011 and 2019. But where is our country today? So I don't worship the God of small things. I am a visionary. I'm also a practical person. And I believe there is a middle way. And that if that opportunity will come sometime not too far off, when Nigerians will recognize and NSAS, I think, was one of those moments where people's eyes began to open. I don't know whether we are at the point when we can elect a president outside of the two major parties, but I think we may be closer to it in 2023 than we were in 2019, and certainly than we were in 2011. Let me remind you that when we ran for president in 2011, there was only one major party. But before by 2015, the APC was already on the scene, breaking the monopoly of the PDP. Dele, you are a learned man, and you know that the historical dialectic can take place, and what may be true yesterday may not necessarily be true tomorrow.
I don't know if I can come in, please.
Yes.
I still vehemently disagree with you. And I will give you examples of places where democracy have thrived for over 200 years. A place you are familiar with, America. No independent candidate has ever been able to win an election. And so when you go against the two major political parties, you are coming in practically as an independent candidate. If Donald Trump had not managed to hijack the Republican Party, he would never have been president of America with all his wealth. So why dissipate your energy on fighting from a smaller party when you can go into the big party and hijack one of, that's what Chief Abiola did. Chief Abiola had the resources. He could have fought it alone, but he would never have won the election. I was one of those who worked for him. And that's the lesson I learned. Let me tell you, sir, the biggest party, the best party outside the two top parties in Nigeria would have been the Labour Party. Because ordinarily, every worker in Nigeria would then be a Labour member. But it didn't happen that way. You need structures, you need money, you need agents for you to win an election. You can't do it alone. If you keep going, I told Donald Duke, just a minute, sir. I told Donald Duke this when he said there will be a third force in the last election. You are forgetting something, that when you combine ignorance with poverty, you are talking about a country where the illiteracy level is anything between 40 and 50%. And then you are talking about a world capital city or a country for poverty. So people are not that advanced for them to think like, let's say what happened in France, where Emmanuel Macron, out of the blues, came. Trust me, my suggestion, because I love what you are doing, I respect your pedigree, is let us stop wasting our time thinking we can swim in a small pond and then reign in a big ocean. It's not going to fly. Trust me. I've studied. After I lost, I went back. You see, otherwise you will become a serial contestant in Nigeria. You just be contesting every year. And very soon people will start insulting you and say, hey, why don't you go and manage to be governor now? People tell me every day, oh, why can't you be a senator now? And I said, no, I cannot want to be a president. I had my reasons for wanting to be a president. I knew I was qualified to be a president. If I can't get it, then I'm not interested. I'll be a president in my house and I will contribute whatever I can from my house. I'm telling you, study world politics. You will see that the top party, number one, number two, it's easier for you to go and fight within. And you know, in Nigeria, zoning is also involved. So if you go to a party where they now zone it, let's say to the southeast, you will be among the top two, top three people that will qualify from that zone. Then you will stand a better chance. But if you are fighting from a smaller party, I don't know how many votes you recorded. Look at Showore. Showore is one of the most popular young people, one of the most radical that we have in Nigeria. How many votes did he get in the last election? The people don't care. People will talk and say, yeah, we want Showore, we want MOGHALU, we want Peter Obi. But when it comes to election, trust me, they will still go for the top two. But that's my own, that's the lesson I learned. That's the lesson I learned. Have we lost Prof?
No, I'm here.
Okay. I'm telling you. Talk anytime you see our friend Donald Duke asking what I told him. He sat with me for hours. We were in the hotel. He sat with me and I told him, I said, don't waste your energy. Stay within PDP or APC. If you cannot get the ticket of either of the two, forget it. It's not going to fly. Unless those parties implode, and which is what happened to Buhari. Buhari contested 3 times. There is nobody who has the kind of cult followership that Buhari has in Nigeria. He contested and lost 3 times. He couldn't make it. He was in ANPP, he was in CPC, then until he had the so-called bad boys join him, he could not win election in Nigeria. It's not about how brilliant you are. It's about being practical. It's about how you maneuver, how you navigate, how you meander. Trust me. So I'm suggesting to you now, you have 2 years to go and fight within a top party. I'm not saying that your party is useless. But if you are interested in presidential election, you cannot do it from a small party. That is my submission, sir.
Okay, then can I respond?
It's your pleasure.
Okay, thank you. There are some things that you have missed in your analysis. Number one, any comparison of Nigeria with America in terms of the two-party system is dead on arrival. The two parties in America are ideological parties. They have something that over 200 years, you know what it means to be a Democrat, you know what it means to be a Republican. That is why it is very difficult for a person outside of those two parties to win the presidency. I'm coming. Now, in Nigeria, first of all, there was only one party that said it would be in power for 60 years. Within 2 years of that statement, PDP lost power to APC. That is proof number one, that you cannot sit where you are and legislate the future. That's number one. PDP lost power to APC. In our own country, it was demonstrated. So, but the PDP did not think it was going to happen. The same way, now, APC and PDP, what is the difference? Some people have lunch in APC and then have dinner in PDP and have breakfast in APC. That is not anything you can compare with America. Now, you don't know what will happen to the APC and PDP before 2023. You don't know. You may think you do, but you don't. Just as what happened in PDP in 2013, and there was a breakaway and people formed APC and all sorts of things. Anything can happen. Now, I'm not saying that what you are saying is not true. Of course, it's easier for you to go and join any of those two parties if you get the ticket. If you get the ticket. Now, so you and I have had an occasion to discuss this before in Oxford. So I know how you feel about this matter. But I would be a bit more open-minded because we cannot assume that Nigerians will remain where they are perpetually if they are not getting the governance they deserve from either APC or PDP. And that is where people are now. Young people are tired of both parties.
They are not tired, sir. On that one, I'm telling you, they are not tired. The young people, forget it. Just read the history of the world. Read about Ghana, read about South Africa, you will see there are parties. When you are talking about APC and PDP, it's not true. There were big parties at any point in time. If you look at 1999, when we started the new experiment, after some of us came back from exile, you had Chifolu Segun Obasanjo versus Chifolu Falaye. There were two top parties. Okay? After that, you had Yaradua. Yaradua came, and then you had Buhari in AMTP. You had big parties. So what happens is that they always come together. It's the same big people who move from one party to another. Atiku moved, he will move to A. Tomorrow, it will come back to B. But they are still the two major dominant parties. It is impossible for a fringe political party to win presidential election. I'm not talking about senatorial. I'm not talking about local government election. Presidential, it's not possible. That one yeah.
Dele, let me tell you that, first of all, I do not belong to any political party as we speak. As we speak, I am not a member of any political party. So my options are open.
Fantastic.
Yes, if I want to contest again, if I were to contest again, my options are open.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm just saying, for the purpose of argument, that we should also not close our minds to other possibilities outside of what we can see right now, because the future sometimes can bring surprises. That's all I'm saying. So let's rest that. But,
yes, you see, as I said, time is not on our side. I don't want you spending the next 20 years chasing the same things when you could have learned from your past experience. For me, there are 4 things that matter in politics, especially in our part of the world. Number 1 is money. If you don't belong to the right party, you will never get donations. Our young people, we have not reached a stage where you can have billions of contribution from people. In some other countries, that is possible. You need money. The second is the issue of ethnicity. The third is religion. And the fourth is godfatherism. Those 4 must be delicately balanced for you to even have any chance of getting a ticket. Because it's a matter, I'll give you an example. 1999, I was supporting Chief Olufalaye against Chief Obasanjo. Why? Because I was thinking like you, that someone like a banker, an economist would be better than a soldier. So Chief Olufalaye asked me, who do I think can be his running mate? And I suggested Dr. Rilwan Lukman, who was at OPEC at the time. And I went to Vienna to go and meet with Dr. Lukman, and I tried to persuade him to come back to Nigeria to be running mate to Chief Olufalaye. He declined. He said he can't. I said, why won't you want to? He said, because the owners of Nigeria, and I'm putting it in inverted commas, have decided that it's Obasanjo's turn. You will not believe it. That was the day I discovered that there are people who are referred to as the owners of Nigeria. And that has been the situation. I'm telling you, for you to have any chance, sir, look at those 4 things: money, ethnicity, religion, godfatherism. They combine effectively, either to make you president or to neutralize you. I don't want us, our generation cannot afford to waste too much time. That is my biggest regret, that we did not know early enough about these things. We thought it's just a question of, yes, I'm very popular, I am very brilliant, I have a little money, I'm accomplished, Nigerians know me, and they will make me president. No, that was my stupidity. I thought I was an Obama. Obama influenced me. I said, if Obama can win in America, there is no reason why the young Nigerians will not vote for an Obama. It doesn't work that way. In a place where you have so many hungry people, unemployed people, people who are ready to die for religion, people are ready to kill for ethnicity. That is the problem. And because we're scholars, we always underrate those things. Prof.
Yeah. Dele?
Yes, sir.
Dele, you know, I respect you a lot. And I appreciate, you know, what you did. I think that there are many lessons I learned from 2019. Some of them are similar to these lessons you're pointing out. But there are some lessons I learned as well. One of those lessons was that our candidates have shifted the narrative in the Nigerian political discourse. And that's the truth. With very little money. I ran for president with the kind of money that somebody running for a local government in a big state or in a big city will spend. And yet, we made a lot of impact in the minds of Nigerians. Between 2019 and 2021, Nigeria has generated President itself. There is no doubt about it. To the extent that there was a youth uprising, which nobody was expecting before. So I balance my realism, which you have expressed and I share. I balance that realism with some sense of optimism about other possibilities that could evolve in Nigeria. So like I said, I'm keeping an open mind, and we will see as we go along. That's all I can say for now.
Okay, let's take it further. I think at least we've tried to establish some fundamental principles of politics and elections in our country, Nigeria. You have been partly in government, if not as a politician, but as an economic leader. Now, what do you think are the most pressing needs of Nigeria that you would address if by whatever chance or miracle or whatever you become president tomorrow?
The first pressing need for Nigerians might surprise you. And that need is to change the Nigerian mindset, the way we think. The reason Nigeria is poor, the reason Nigeria is broke today is because we do not have the mindset to create prosperity. If you do not tackle the mindset as a leader, you will not be able to get the kind of following that will create sustainable prosperity in Nigeria. So number one is the way we think in Nigeria makes us poor. The Bible or something says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So that's number one. Number two is that the government of Nigeria must be, populated by competent people. The president alone is not enough to change the trajectory of the economy in Nigeria. There has to be a team of people. That's why Obasanjo made a lot of progress when he was president, because he surrounded himself a lot with capable people. So we need to return to that sort of teamwork that brings the best and the brightest, regardless of whether they belong to our party or not, regardless of whether they live in Nigeria or they live abroad. We can go and find them and bring them back. That's very important. Number three, we must reduce corruption. The amount of waste and corruption that goes on in Nigeria sacrifices the possibility of Nigeria ever becoming a developed country. And if this tradition continues, where government is the biggest business in town, then Nigeria can never make progress. So you need a leader who can rally and mobilize people, both inside the government and the citizens, to understand that we must control corruption in a very practical way. And that means not talking about it, don't believe in making noise about fighting corruption. I believe in putting in place the institutions and the systems, the technology that can reduce corruption in the world of government contracts. If you say that there is a database that contains all the prices of everything, checked in real time, and that any contract award that goes 30% of the prices of anything means there's corruption involved. After all, businessmen must make profit. But if you put this type of system in place, it will check corruption. If you are impartial in holding people who are corrupt accountable, it will check corruption. You can never abolish corruption completely. Let's be very clear. In America, you have corruption. In Switzerland, you have it. Everywhere in the world, you have it. But in those countries, corruption is marginal. In Nigeria, we're sitting on it. It is the stool on which we're sitting. How can we stand up? We can never stand up. So these are some of the things I think, if I were to have the opportunity, I would bring to leadership. Nigerians need to understand that there's a difference between leadership and politics. Politics is a path to leadership, but politics in itself is not leadership. And so you find a lot of people in Nigeria, they call successful politicians leader. They go into government, they cannot govern. The reason they cannot govern is because they cannot lead. Because transactional politics, the way we do it in Nigeria, is a very different thing from competent leadership. So I would bring competent leadership to governance. So these are some of the things that I think we need to do. There are many things, but I would say these are some of the priorities. First of all, change the mindset. And a leader who has vision and capacity and can lead by example can bring about a change in the mindset of citizens. It is possible. Then back it up with competent governance. Competence is very important. Competence. Create a common vision for Nigeria that can accommodate all of us. Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Muslim, Christian. It is possible to build a nation that can accommodate all our aspirations. But you need a certain level of leadership ability to be able to do this. You need a philosophy that Nigeria has to be constitutionally restructured back to federalism at this time. There is no other way out. There was a time Nigeria could have become a great nation, even as a unitary state. But that time has passed. The divisions are too many. The state is collapsing. The government has no money. Nigeria is bankrupt. So if you do not rearrange the incentives, the economic incentives for people in states or regions to create wealth, they will never create it. So long as everybody is fighting for the power at the center, the way with the current constitution, then nothing can happen. We can't move forward.
Yes, Prof, I'm happy that you finally got around to it. The issue of mindset, I find a bit abstract and it could be nebulous. Mindset means you will need to have a new reorientation for the people, and that takes time. It's not something you can do from day one. You need to preach to them. You need to set up, avenues to campaign against certain things that have become a part of us. So I think the most important thing that Nigeria needs, and I was hoping that Buhari would not stubbornly ignore it, is the issue of constitutional reforms, or what some people call restructuring. Because when I was comparing Nigeria to America, what I meant was simply that you can no longer practice capitalism without capital. What Nigeria is trying to do is to borrow a system from America when you don't have the resources. You understand? You are an economist. You know that we don't have the resources to live like America. The president of Nigeria wants to fly Air Force One, just like the president of America will fly Air Force One. But the truth is, we don't have the resources. So you have presidential jets allocated to practically all the top 3, 4, public officers that we have in Nigeria. Then you have the House of Representatives, you have the Senate, for crying out loud. Nigeria can't afford those things. Until you change those things, even if you change the mindset of the people, you are still going to have a lot of drain pipes. And I believe that is what you need to address urgently. You need to help us redesign and fashion out ways by which we can reduce waste. I think the biggest problem facing Nigeria today is the problem of waste, more than corruption. Like you said, everywhere that you will find corruption, but a place where everybody is just wasting resources, then there is hardly a difference between waste and corruption. People are wasting resources. Everybody. So how come, for example, can't we collapse and go back to parliamentary? How come we cannot reduce the number of states? Some people still want to increase even the number of states we have now, when some of them are not even sustainable. So exactly. I don't envy those of you who still want to go into power, because I don't know where you're going to start from when you get the power. Hello?
Well?
Yes, go on.
Yeah.
Okay, please go on. Yes.
Yes. No, I said I understand. It's a daunting challenge. Very big challenge. But comes the hour, comes the man. I believe that Nigerians, if we are united, if we are determined, we can solve our problems if some of us get the chance to be in certain places. It's not impossible at all. That's what I believe.
Okay, there are people from different parts of Nigeria now who are clamoring for a breakup of the country. Especially from where you come from. You have Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has now become a good friend of mine, and I respect his brains, and I also love the way he expresses his frustration and the reason why he has given up on Nigeria. So what do you have that gives you the confidence about Nigeria that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu does not have?
Well, first of all, I respect, the rights of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and others like him, because he's not the only one. in the part of Nigeria where you come from, there are also people who share the same view that Nigeria should break up. In the Niger Delta, the same thing. So it's a problem we have across the country, that the legitimacy of the Nigerian state is increasingly questioned by its own citizens. Now, I think that we can salvage Nigeria. We can. If restructuring, constitutional restructuring takes place. What we need is to give the different regions of Nigeria space to grow. If the powers that be continue to resist restructuring, then they are inviting an inevitable outcome of state failure, in my own view. So I think, let's try the restructuring. Let's see if that can solve the problem, because there are certain advantages. If equity and justice can be assured in Nigeria, to Nigeria remaining one nation or one country, but it must be structured differently so that it can work for Nigeria. That's my position at this time. Now, I also don't believe that, I think it's very unrealistic and unlearned, let's say put it that way, to always dismiss people who are agitated, like Nnamdi Kanu, and dismiss them out of hand. Leadership means addressing the agitations of people who are not satisfied. Why don't you engage them? Why don't you find out what is it they're complaining about and what can we do about it? But if you delegitimate them, but you're not addressing the issues they're raising, then you're not a sincere leader, in my own view. So if I were to be a leader or the leader of Nigeria, I would approach this matter completely different. And that is, we can bring everybody to the table to renegotiate Nigeria in a way that assures equity and justice for all of us. That's what is needed. And if you are not able to do that, then I think it's not very useful to be dismissing those who are agitated, because the child that is crying, something is making the child to cry. It's a cry for justice. That's what it is. And we must address that need for justice for every part of Nigeria, whether the Fulanis in the north or the northerners who are today under siege from bandits and all kinds of criminals, whether it's the people in the Niger Delta whose resources are being taken for the rest of the country, but they're living in poverty and environmental degradation. They too need justice. Those who are politically marginalized, people from the southeast who have never had the opportunity, for example, to be president of Nigeria. There is need for justice for everyone. So that's my approach to the matter, and that would be my approach to it.
How do you negotiate or renegotiate with people who are not ready to dialogue with you? Because it's obvious that some people in Nigeria, and they are very powerful Nigerians, are not interested. And that is why someone like Mazin Namdekanu says, no, there is nothing new. Nigeria has failed. Nigeria is a failed country, and there is nothing to salvage in the country. And so the best thing is for us to go our separate ways. And here you are, you still have faith. That's why I want to know what concretely assures you or reassures you that there is still hope for Nigeria.
I will answer that question. 2023 not keeping us all alive. 2023 if the government changes hands in 2023 and the next government of Nigeria is unwilling and unable to bring people to the table to dialogue about Nigeria, then fine, let us take whatever comes our way. I just say, let's give it a little more time. Let's see whether, this problem cannot be solved if there is a change of government in 2023. If you bring a government that is committed to restructuring Nigeria, this can be done.
I don't know if you are aware of what is going on in some parts of Yoruba land at the moment. there is a gentleman called Sunday Igboho, and he's been known before, but now is probably the most popular person in Yoruba land, and is beginning to look like someone who believes that the Yorubas must rescue themselves from these herdsmen. I don't know where the herdsmen come from, but even our president once said that they are foreigners, and then foreigners are ravaging the land. They are raping women in the presence of their husbands. They are collecting ransom after kidnapping people, and they still kill their victims. What do you think? And then the governor of your state is saying people like Sunday Igboho are interlopers, that they are criminals. They should not take laws into their hands and all that. What do you think people can do if government has failed to protect them? What should they do? So is
the fundamental law of nature, the fundamental law of nature is the law of survival and self-defense. Let us be very clear. If the government, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, really.
If the government allows the country to be overrun by criminal elements, whether it is bandits, whether it's men, wherever they may be from, no matter the kidnappers, you cannot say that people will not protect themselves. They will protect themselves, and they have a valid argument to protect themselves. So I think it's a very straightforward issue. If the government says you have no right to do this or do that, then the government should exercise its own responsibility. The number one responsibility of the government is to protect, to secure the lives and property of Nigerians, and to provide for their welfare. If the government fails to do that, the government then increasingly lacks the legitimacy to question citizens who want to protect themselves from, criminals. So this is what it is. It's natural and normal that people will step into a vacuum because nature affords a vacuum. If the government does not like Sunday, Dodo, I can't remember the last name.
Igboho, yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. If the government doesn't like Sunday, the government should make sure that the citizens of those states or your states are prevented from being raped, from their properties being desecrated, or from their farmlands being taken from them forcefully. Simple. It's a very straightforward thing.
But the government now is saying people like Sunday should be arrested when even some Boko Haram, so-called repentant Boko Haramists, are being rehabilitated and offered jobs within the Nigerian security arm.
This is why I say to you that 2023 will determine the future of the Nigerian state. Whether the state has a future or whether it is a past tense. If we continue to see these double standards, they cannot last forever. It's a big double standard, to take this type of approach. And it quickens the disintegration of the country. So if anything goes wrong in Nigeria after 2023, I think we should know whom we will hold responsible for what happened. And it may not necessarily be the Sundays of this world. It will be people who have the constitutional duty to protect us, but refused or failed to do so, and expect us to sit down and fold our hands when people come to slaughter us. That's against the law of nature.
What guarantees do you have that between now and 2023 there will still be Nigeria?
None.
Okay, because I can see that you seem to be pinning a lot of your hope on 2023, that in 2023 this will happen. It seems to be your magic year, so that's why I'm asking that question. That's what guarantees.
But I give it is the year of outer tolerance for a situation that is horrible. And I am projecting, can this situation continue beyond 2023? I doubt it very much. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. Okay, now, part of the strategies, let's say if 2023 comes part of this. Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to add something. As a United Nations official, I led teams that rebuilt failed states like Cambodia, like Somalia, Angola, Croatia, Rwanda. So I have a lot of experience with managing state failure, disintegration, and rebuilding. That's why I am saying the things I'm saying. You know, I'm saying that there is a trajectory that is currently, we are on that trajectory. And my projection is that this trajectory can last for maximum just a few more years. Beyond that, it's not sustainable. Something will have to give. So that's why I want to recall the experience I've had in the United Nations in saying the things I'm saying. It's not that 2023 is a magic year. It's just that I would like to say to Nigeria, if we are so unhappy, let us protest. Let us use our votes in 2023 to bring in the kind of government that could possibly salvage Nigeria. That's all I'm saying.
What is your attitude to zoning? Do you think it's absolutely necessary, or do you think it is an unnecessary distraction?
I don't think zoning is an unnecessary distraction. Given the situation in Nigeria today, contemporary Nigeria, we can understand why zoning takes place, formally or informally. It is that whole need for equity and justice, the search for equity and justice for every part of the country. In a country that does not have a commonly shared history, we're not united by any purpose and any destiny. So we live in the here and now in Nigeria. And because we live in the here and now, the only way you can manage it is to give a sense of belonging to every part of Nigeria. That's the basis on which zoning started in 1999. Now, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. If you have made those arrangements and they have favored some parts of the country, you cannot now come and abolish it so that just when it is the argument that it should favor some other parts of the country. That's injustice. Now, for me, I take a claim, or I take the claim to the presidency, not on the basis of any ethnic argument, but on the basis of my vision, on the basis of my capacity. But I can also understand why you can combine competence with equity. In Switzerland, for example, there are 26 cantons. The presidency, and Switzerland is a confederation. The presidency of Switzerland is rotated every 2 years among the cantons in the Federal Council. This is a very developed country. If they can rotate their presidency, then I don't see why anyone would say that rotating the presidency of Nigeria is a distraction. All you should say is that we need competent leadership in Nigeria, no matter where it comes from. And like I said to you, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If some people have enjoyed the benefit of zoning, it is unfair to deny others the benefit of that opportunity. And that now talking about competence, as if competence and equity and justice are mutually exclusive. They are not.
Are you aware that zoning is not enshrined in our constitution, and so it cannot be binding on candidates or political parties?
It's a political party arrangement. It's a political custom.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not as passionate as the constitutional right. No.
Okay. I'm going somewhere, sir. So, if zoning is not binding, what stops the North from springing a surprise on the rest of Nigeria in 2023?
You mean in terms of candidates from the North?
In terms of candidates from the North. I'm almost certain that one of the two top parties will field a Northerner. I'm almost certain about that. Yeah. And I'm sure you are aware of the permutations already that Atiku still wants to run, Kwankwaso wants to run, Tambua wants to run, El-Rufai would love to run. If possible, Saraki and Dogara, they are waiting in the wings for their own opportunity.
Well, what I want to say is this. In 1999, when this practice was started, there were people who could have run. I know that the one Naya won the ticket of the APP. He had to step down for Lusala because of this unconstitutional but practical arrangement that the presidency had to come from the Southwest in 1999. After Jonathan, who became president essentially accidentally, the presidency went back to the North. Buhari became the president. By 2023, he would have done 8 years. I think that for the stability of our country, there is need for statesmanship. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about statesmanship. So it can be discussed, it can be negotiated, but you cannot deny anybody of his or her constitutional right at the end of the day. But in terms of stabilizing the country, I think we all know what should happen in 2023. I think the presidency should come from the South, and specifically from the Southeast, if I may say.
But what about those who are clamoring that the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, spent only one term and he has one more time to go, and that it's better for him to come and complete his term? I'm sure you've heard about that as well.
I have heard it, but when you say he spent one term and he has one more term to go, there is no constitutional guarantee for 2 terms. He lost an election.
No, I'm just saying that there are people clamoring for him to come back.
No, of course, people can clamor for anybody to come out. And like I said, everybody has a constitutional right. But I'm just saying that we all know what is in the best interest of the stability of the country. And I would appeal to all political players that we move in that direction. That's all I say.
Well, your optimism seems boundless. But I think I'm hoping that you know that some forces in the North believe that it will pay them, if they cannot retain power, to have a man who has only one more term to go constitutionally, so that they can then vie for power again 4 years after. I hope you are taking all this into consideration.
For sure, but you know, I think I mean there are many intentions that the politicians can have, many permutations. What will play out? Let us see.
So, have you started campaigning? Are you running in 2023? Definitely.
I am thinking about it. I am considering it, and I am consulting various people, statesmen, youth, civil society. And when I make a decision, I will announce it. It will not be too long.
So, how do you hope to fund this very expensive venture?
Well, you know, I think that's where you say I've learned lessons from the last time. So if I were to go forward again, funding is one of the main plans.
Sorry, we lost him there. Let me try him again.
You currently do not have sufficient credit to complete.
What do you mean? We shall burn all our credits today on this.
Hello?
Hello, yes, sorry. Okay, he said I had to, yes, go on.
Okay. No, I think I answered your question on funding, and I was saying that from the lessons I learned the last time, if I were to decide to run again, obviously I have to think a lot about funding, the possible sources of funding, and that includes crowdfunding, by the way.
Wow, and then you still want to come back from the old political party, or you are likely to move elsewhere?
I don't belong to any political party right now, like I said. So obviously that means that it's a clean slate before me. And so if I were to decide to run, I would have to make a decision on what political platform I want to join to pursue that aspiration.
I've always wanted to ask you this question. When we met at Oxford University, I didn't have the chance. What happened that those of you who we consider among the best aspirants for 2019 could not agree to field a common candidate? What happened? And if you have such an arrangement next time, would you be willing to step down if, for example, there is a consensus that some of you should step down?
Well, first of all, what happened was that people had different ambitions. People wanted to pursue their ambitions and did not want to submerge those ambitions to maybe a larger vision or something to that effect. But I want to say that it is also somewhat artificial. Nobody is going to tell the APC and the BDP to come together and select a consensus candidate. If people apply for a job, nobody says to them, go and discuss among yourselves and step down. Let's decide who will get this job. It's a bit artificial also to have a certain type of expectation that people must reach some consensus arrangement. We're in a democracy. So sometimes if people feel strongly about their vision or their capacity to deliver on that vision, let them come to the field and test it. I mean, the citizens of Nigeria have to learn how to assess candidates. We cannot be lazy and say, oh, if 3 or 4 people or 5 people are running for president, I cannot look at them and decide which one I want to vote for. But I have to tell the 7 of them to go and step down and bring me one person. It means I'm not prepared to think. So I think we should be very balanced the way we look at these types of things and perhaps avoid the temptation of artificial constructs that are not possible in real life.
Okay, sir. Now, do you agree that we have too many political parties in Nigeria? And it's quite unwieldy.
Yes, it's unwieldy. And that's why INEC has registered many parties. I think we have about 18 parties now. I don't think it's too much, even if we had 20 or 25. But 70 was too much. Sure. 90 parties was it. Yeah.
I think we shouldn't have more than 4 or 5. It makes voting very difficult, especially for those who are not well educated. For them looking through, those ballot papers can be very, very tedious.
Well, yeah, I suppose yes, it does. Yeah, but this is why we need voter education in Nigeria. We cannot be practicing democracy without its substance. There must be electoral reform, and our citizens must make informed voting choices. We cannot say that for the next 20, 30 years, we have to continue, people taking 1,000 naira to vote for somebody, and then telling me that that is democracy. No, it's not real democracy. It's something else. So it's a work in progress. And we have to keep moving in the right direction.
A lot of my Igbo friends, and you've just reiterated it, are insisting that it is the turn of the Southeast, that if truly the Southeast is part of Nigeria, then the next president of Nigeria must come from Southeast. Please include yourself, feel free. Can you give me the top 6 potential candidates that you see that can come from the Southeast? Because part of the question is, you don't have people with the national popularity, to do it. That the presidency is not something, it's not an overnight thing. Now you have been in government, you have been in the central bank, you've been a presidential candidate, so there are others. Could you give us 6 formidable people, including yourself, that you think can run?
I would not want to go into many names, but I think I can say for sure that the Southeast, just like any other part of Nigeria, has competent people who are nationwide popular, who are well known, and who have the right to aspire to the presidency. And I certainly would include myself among one of
Oh, there definitely. I will put you among the top three any day. Yeah, but this is just an hypothetical question that just give me the profiles of some of the people. You can't run away from that you see. Because people ask me this question every day. Who, and then I give them, you know.
Okay, let me come to that question in a different way. Rather than mentioning names, because it is always difficult. You can mention 6 names, and people will say that is very autocratic of you. What about this other 6? Why did you mention 6 and not this other 6? But let me answer you. What we should be thinking about first and foremost, my claim to the Nigerian presidency in 2019 when I ran is that if you bring out a candidate from the north, if you bring out a candidate from the west, if you bring out a candidate from the Igbos, from the south, I can stand my ground because I have the capacity and I have the competence. I'm not looking for a free pass. So let me first of all establish that my vision on which I ran for the presidency was not an ethnic vision. I ran because I felt I have a vision for Nigeria and I have the capacity to deliver on that vision if I am given the opportunity. That remains my primary motivation. But in politics, given Nigeria's peculiar politics and this issue of zoning and equity and justice, we also have to take that into consideration. So let me tell you what the issue is. Many people do not think carefully about what is needed, the policies that the president of Nigeria needs to have. I would submit that the president of Nigeria needs to have capacity, experience, and character in these 4 areas. Number 1, the ability to build a nation. That is to say, to manage Nigeria's diversity and to build its institutions so that Nigeria will not be as fractured as it is today. Can we create a vision of the future that can rise above the things that divide us? That is number 1. This is what I did for 17 years in the United Nations, rebuilding failed nations. Number 2, like a president needs to be somebody who can manage Nigeria's national security. And what do I mean by national security? We're not saying you have to be a general, because we have seen that being a general does not necessarily secure Nigeria. Security in the 21st century is about human security. Do you have food to eat? Do you have education? Do you have healthcare? Do you have a job? Do you have skills? That's where it starts from. Then you move into other issues like the relationship between civilians and the military, human intelligence, cross-border operations, some of which I engaged in when I was in the United Nations peacekeeping operations. 3, the ability to manage Nigeria's economy. I believe that the next president of Nigeria has to be an economic mind, somebody who can lead the economic transformation of Nigeria. And if you don't yourself have the substance, you cannot get the job done because you won't even know where to find the right people. Number 4, the president of Nigeria must be somebody who can manage Nigeria's foreign affairs, because Nigeria, as the largest black nation on earth, has an encounter with destiny. Whether that destiny is one of greatness or one of disintegration and poverty, we will have to see. These are the 4 things we should be looking at in any discussion about the president. So you have to then profile people. Who are the people who have these kinds of, shall we say, cognate experience or capacity? That's what we should be looking for the presidency of Nigeria.
There are those who have argued that to run Nigeria effectively, or any country for that matter, a leader must be someone who has already managed people and resources and possibly their own businesses. There are those who believe that, yes, you are very sound in terms of economics, but have you done any business that would allow you to understand and appreciate the plight of doing business in Nigeria?
Thank you. That's a very good question. First of all, I want to tell you that as a deputy governor of the central bank, I managed a 17 trillion naira banking sector. I supervised it I led the implementation of its reform. That's no joke at all. I supervised the payment system operations of the country, leading the team that developed and introduced the bank verification number, BVN. These are things of economic, practical consequence. As a United Nations official, I have managed broken nations. I have managed international relations and diplomacy. And yet, I am an entrepreneur. I have founded a consulting firm, a business that employs people and that advises people that employ people. So, in terms of managing a business, managing human beings, managing resources, I am more than competent in those areas. And my track records show it. So I don't think, that is an issue for someone like myself at all. Not at all.
Have you ever been tempted with corruption? And
yes.
And so could you give specific examples and how did you manage it?
Let me tell you that when I was in the central bank as a deputy governor, you are a deputy governor of money. You understand? That's one of the reasons my title is Ipeke Godnewi. He that is bigger than money. I have governed money and refused to fall for its temptation. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I made important decisions as the deputy governor of the central bank. I was in charge of every bank in Nigeria. I could not become a bank MD or chairman if I could not sign my approval. You couldn't own a BDC in Nigeria. I was the final authority to approve a BDC. So I've been in situations where people have offered me all kinds of things. I just smiled. Do you know why I would smile? Because I grew up with a value system inculcated in me by my parents, especially my father, who was a civil servant. And when we were young, I remember him. He would beat his chest and say, 35 years in the civil service, I never took a bribe. I was very proud of my father. He has passed away. And I always remember that thing in my head. So where you come from, your background, your own, even your own values have a lot to do with what kind of leader you can be. So yes, I have met temptation, but I'm proud to say that I did not fall.
What's your view of President Momodu Buhari? Do you think he's doing very well?
I think he has done his best, but I think, we need a different type of leader for the future of Nigeria.
I said, is he doing very well?
I don't think so. If he was, I wouldn't have run for president.
No, he can't run again. So you are running now in 2023. Are you satisfied?
No, I haven't told you I'm running. I said I'm thinking about it.
Okay, so but are you pleased with where we are now, nearly 6 years since he came to power?
No, I'm not. Obviously, I'm not. No, I'm not.
And what are the critical issues that you feel he has failed to tackle?
Well, there are three very critical issues based on his promises. One, President Buhari promised us security. Nigeria is not secure the way it should be. So I see that as a big challenge. I don't think he has performed as well as he could have in the area of security. The economy is a very big issue. The economy has performed extremely poorly in the last 5 years. I think that's also very clear and obvious to everyone. Number three, the management of nation building, management of diversity. I see that as an area where he has also been challenged. And I will give you a practical example. And that is the response to the governor of Ondo State, CHINEDU, in his order to the herdsmen to vacate the forest. The response of the presidency was not what it should have been. It seemed as if the presidency was jumping to protect the herdsmen instead of addressing the actual issue of the fact that if they were occupying forest reserves illegally, what should be done? I don't think CHINEDU was saying they should live on those things. Nigerians have a right to be anywhere in the country, regardless of where they come from. But you have to be law-abiding wherever you are. I believe we can all agree on that. So, yes, So I see challenges in the areas of managing the economy and managing national security.
Now, you said that the economy is very bad at the moment. Can you tell us the reasons why you think it's very bad?
Well, the economy is very bad. One, because poverty is on the rise in Nigeria. We have an unacceptable rate of poverty. So I'm not one of those people who just focus on GDP growth when I'm talking about an economy. When I'm looking at an economy, I'm looking at human beings. I'm looking at mothers and their children. I'm looking at young men. I'm looking at young men who have left school and whether or not they have skills to be able to find their job. Those are the kinds of things I look at. So you can have high GDP growth, but poverty can be rising. So poverty is a major measurement of economic progress for me in any nation.
Okay, go on.
Yes, I said two.
Yes.
Two. Nigeria is bankrupt. Fiscally, Nigeria just doesn't have money anywhere. We have no stadium, and we do not have reliable sources of revenue. Continue to rely a lot on oil after 50 years. Nothing fundamentally is changing. That's also a very troubling situation. And then three, the future of Nigeria is being mortgaged. The future of the young people of our country is being mortgaged by external borrowing. I think the government is borrowing too much and too frequently for Nigeria's economy to be sustainable.
If you were Emefiele, what would you do differently?
Well, I'm not Emefiele, but
if you are in his shoes now, right now.
Yes, if I was in his shoes, one of the first things I would do would be to make the Naira exchange at a flexible market-based exchange rate.
How?
That is to say, floating the Naira. Stop subsidizing the value of the Naira. That's what I would do. Stop subsidizing the value of the Naira and draining Nigeria's foreign reserves. But I would not just do that. I would advise the government as an economic advisor to the president. I would advise the reforms that need to take place in the area of trade to accompany and go along with floating the Naira so that we can get the benefit of floating the Naira. If you float the Naira without those reforms in trade, you are just importing inflation. I've said this so many times in so many places.
Now, government says it's going to sell off some properties to fund the 2021 budget. Does this make any sense to you? If you sell properties this year, what are you selling next year?
Exactly. I don't think it's a sustainable approach to economic management. I don't think it is. So we need to go and address our fundamentals. We need to raise revenues inside Nigeria. I want you to know that right now I'm serving as the UNDP Special Envoy on post-COVID development finance for Africa. The United Nations Development Program has asked me to lead an exercise where we assess the economies of African countries to see the impact of COVID on their fiscal balance and how they can raise resources domestically and internationally to reposition themselves after the COVID crisis. So this is something I'm very passionate about. I think we should look for money inside our country and not keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. We can do better than that. Or selling our assets. You know how it is, even at the personal level. If you don't get your personal economics right, you can keep selling everything you own and you can still be struggling. We know that. There are people who live like that. They keep funding they will sell their land, they will sell this, but the fundamentals are still there. So I don't think that selling national assets is a sustainable, it's a desperate move. Just like trying to borrow the assets of unclaimed dividends of Nigeria. These kinds of things, we just keep, it seems like we're beating about the bush. We borrow from the foreigners, we borrow wherever we can find at home, we sell our assets. I have not seen a plan to get out of this mess. We need a plan. and it needs to be executed very, very effectively in a disciplined way. But do you know one of the reasons why Nigeria's economy is very bad?
What is the reason?
The most important reason is vested interest and rent sticking. If you liberalize the economy, if you reduce the role of the government, many people would lose, many powerful interests would lose advantages. For example, the Naira. Why should there be different exchange rates for different transactions? Is that done in any serious country of the world?
Wow. Wow. Okay. Now, Nigeria, your Ministry of Health says it needs 400 billion to be spent on vaccines and vaccination. Do you? Yes. Why do we keep throwing money into everything? Is this the way it is done elsewhere? Because I know you are a global citizen. 400 billion is about $1 billion.
Yes. Now, in many countries of the world, the governments have had to pay commercial companies to procure vaccines for their citizens. So it is not out of place for Nigeria to make a budgetary provision for vaccine for its citizens. But we must always, from our experience, assess the intent according to the execution. People can make any plan. We're very good at that. And make announcements in the press. What actually happens in practice is what we need to be watching for. How many millions of Nigerians will get vaccinated within the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months? And then there's the fundamental issue of should Nigeria not have produced its own vaccine? India is coming out with its vaccine. China is coming out with its own, not to talk about the advanced countries. Nigeria has the scientists with the capacity to do this, but the environment is not enabling. And so we will spend twice what we would have spent if Nigeria had produced its own vaccine, or maybe 3 times more. That's what shows you whether we are managing our economics well.
Wow. Now let's talk about our oil sector. As an economist and someone who's been in the central bank, what can you say about the oil sector in Nigeria? Do you think we are making the best use of what God has given us almost for free? And how can we make it better now that even the world is moving towards cleaner energy?
Yes. First of all, I want to say that the age of oil is going by. 2, we did not make use of our oil resources the way we should have. We should have invested in refineries many, many decades ago and expanded our capacity to refine our oil and sell refined petrol to other countries. Instead, we export crude oil and import refined petroleum, and then we subsidize the cost of the imported petroleum. We've done this for so many decades, and this is one of the reasons the federal government is in a fiscal mess. So, number 2, I believe that we should privatize most of these refineries. The government has not been able to run them profitably, despite every year they tell us they're spending billions in turnaround maintenance, but it doesn't work out. At the end of the day, most of those refineries are not producing at anywhere near their capacity. So I think the government should remove its hand from several things. I think the NNPC should be partially privatized. I have said this before, and I'm saying it again. If you look at the Gulf states, a lot of their revenue started coming. At first, they were exporting crude oil and making a lot of money. But they invested a lot of the money they made in building refineries, and they also invested in sovereign wealth funds, where they saved hundreds of billions of dollars for the rainy day. In Nigeria, we did not do that. When I was at the central bank and we were talking, I played an important role in establishing the framework for the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund. I gave the name Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, NFIA. I coined that name. So when we were trying to come to the Sovereign Wealth Party, very late after the party is over. You know how it is when you arrive at the party. People have already had their fun and gone. You meet some leftovers and a few people just, you know, still hanging around. That's what it's like when you don't do what you should do, when you ought to do it. So I think we should partially privatize the NMTC. Either 49, 51% private sector, public sector. But at least 10% of that equity must be for the communities from which those resources come from. Saudi Arabia privatized Aramco, and I believe they made a lot of money doing that, and I think it's better for the economy in the long term. You know, we need to let the private sector run Nigeria's oil economy a lot more efficiently. That's what I think. So I don't think we've managed our oil resources very well. So we are poor in the midst of what we think is plenty. But there's something even more fundamental. Natural resources, with very few exceptions, has never been the basis of the wealth of nations. The basis of the wealth of nations is what we call economic complexity, value addition manufacturing, and based on innovation. These are the two things that drive the wealth of nations. And if I were president of Nigeria, this is where my attention would focus. I would focus on all those young inventors, make sure that their inventions are commercialized. You can see them on the shelves. You know, make sure that we give them, we set up a 1 trillion naira venture capital fund to invest in young people to start new businesses, not with credit, but with equity. These are the kinds of things I would focus on. I wouldn't be focusing too much on the oil economy. That's backward approach to economic management. We should be looking to the future.
We've had endless challenges with oil subsidy. Do you think Nigeria is truly subsidizing our oil reasonably, or you think they should hands off completely and let's go for free market?
Yeah, I think Nigeria should hands off from oil subsidy, and they should have done that a long time ago. And so the timing of trying to do it during the COVID pandemic is a very sensitive time. The COVID pandemic is a time when countries should just stand still and just try and take care of their citizens. And after the pandemic is gone or manageable, hopefully by the end of this year, return to other ways of other approaches. So I have never believed in oil subsidy. I think it has been a festival of corruption. So I think the Nigerian government has no business or should have left the business of subsidizing the price of oil. Let's always look at what happened with the GSM. At first, when you remove these government ownership and subsidies, the thing looks like it's going to be so expensive. But eventually, market forces will come in. And market forces will rationalize and drive down the price because there will be competition. Why should petrol cost the same everywhere in Nigeria? That's not humanly natural. It's price in America anyway. Does petrol cost the same in different states? No. So the market should modulate prices, and it will eventually do so efficiently. As we saw, eventually SIM cards became almost nothing. But there was a time they were like 40,000 naira or 20,000. So
bless you.
The thinking, the populist thinking that we're helping the poor by the government subsidizing these things, or by the government controlling the price of goods in the market, is self-defeating. We are entrapping millions of Nigerians in poverty by continuing to do so. It does not liberate any economy. It doesn't create wealth. And you have to first generate wealth before you can distribute it to citizens. Even in terms of whether it's social security, for the aged and other forms of intervention. You must first generate the money. If you don't generate it from a free market and taxation, you will not be able to sustain those interventions.
Who and what inspires you?
Very good. I am inspired by greatness. I'm inspired by people who live and rise above themselves, not just thinking about their own immediate needs. People who think about society and how society can be made better. And the whole idea of making everywhere I find myself a better place because I have been there, that is what drives me. And so, of course, in my life as a young person, I have admired a lot of great people, people like Mandela, you know. I found very admirable figures. In our country, I have admired men and women who have, had profound impact in the educational sector, people like Chinua Achebe, Professor Wole Soyinka. I've admired people who have made Nigeria proud by projecting up in the world, people like Chidemeka Anyaoku, former Secretary General of the Commonwealth. So these are the kinds of people I've looked up to in my life, and I've considered them role models.
Wow. And then your favorite books?
Well, my favorite book. I want to tell you a book that I like a lot, and that book is called Iba by Wole Soyinka. It's not one of his more popular books.
It's called what?
Ibadan.
Okay, I have it, the Penkeleme's Years.
Yes, exactly. That book is one of my favorite books. I love it. There are other books I like, books of autobiography. Well, I like autobiographies, the autobiography of Winston Churchill. Those kinds of books, I've enjoyed them a lot. And then I like books that I call written by popularizers. Like, for example, they take economic principles and render them in a very popular language, and people can easily understand those books, like Freakonomics and those kinds of books. I like those kinds of books as well. I have also, forgive me, but I'm also an author. So I will recommend one of my books or two of my books. I wrote a book called Emerging Africa. How the global economy's last frontier can prosper and matter. That book is a book I would recommend to each and every Nigerian. Not because I wrote it, but because I think that, okay, that's Ibadan, yes. Yeah, that's right. Let me show you. Although you may not be able to see, because we're no longer, okay, yeah, you can't see me. I would have shown you a copy of Imagine Africa.
Okay.
Yes. It's a book I would recommend greatly to anybody. Because in that book, I show the secret of the wealth of nations and how Africa can actually rise.
Yeah, let's actually see if I can see you on Instagram. I've requested for you again.
Okay.
But we can still be talking through my phone while I'm watching you from here. Let's try that.
Yeah, okay.
If it works. Okay, I can see you now, so you can show us the book.
Oh, can you see this book?
Yeah, if you show us, yes, we can see it.
Hold on.
Your internet is the problem.
Yes, it is. It is a real problem.
Yes, mine, you can see the Soyinka. I just bought this new version. I have the oldest version when it first came out. So I had to buy it again, so that I can have something very clean.
Yes. I'm sorry that my own network is not very good. But
it's not very good. But if you hold your book up to the camera, we should. Okay, I can see it now. Yeah, I can see the book now. Yes, I can see it now. Yes.
Exactly.
Imagine Africa.
Imagine Africa, yes.
Okay.
How the global economy's last frontier can prosper and matter. That book is it's been reviewed all over the world, and many reviewers have critically acclaimed the book. Yeah, so nobody said I'm a writer, but it's a good book.
Okay. Do you read philosophical works?
Oh, sure. I read philosophical works, certainly. I mean, I read the writings of philosophers like Spinoza, people like Descartes. Sure, I've read
René Descartes.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, I do read philosophical works as well. Yes.
Okay, but your favorite biographies, apart from Mandela or Soyinka, who are your favorite biographers?
Winston Churchill. Yeah. the Winston Churchill's biographies, I enjoy very much. So that's one person.
Have you read Obama's biography?
Yes, I'm actually reading. I was going to come to that. I'm reading Obama's biography right now, The Promised Land, or A Promised Land. It's a great book. It's a very great book. Really, really great book. Yes. So I do read the biographies of American presidents a lot, and I find them quite inspiring too.
Your ideal countries in the world, you've traveled far and wide. So could I pick your brains and tell me why? Which are your favorite countries?
I would say Switzerland and the United States. Let me tell you why. Switzerland, in many ways, is like Nigeria. There are 4 main ethnic groups there. There are the French Swiss, the German Swiss, the Italian Swiss, and the Romance, or a small minority group in Europe. So, and those 4 languages are official languages. Switzerland is a confederation. The cantons are almost completely, they run their lives and their economy. And yet, there is a very strong sense of Swiss identity. And that is because at the leadership at the top is a very competent leadership. And there are some values that they have established as totally Swiss. For example, keeping time. The Swiss are very punctual, and you know that, and they take time very seriously because they measure time in economic value. 1 hour, what is the production that could have taken place in 1 hour? So they don't joke with time, they don't keep African time the way we like to do and so on. So Switzerland is an example of a country that has diverse ethnicities, but has become one of the most successful countries in the world. The United States is one of my favorite countries, despite all its challenges, especially in recent times. And here is why. If we are looking at restructuring constitutionally back to federalism, in America, for example, 70% of the governance that takes place in the United States takes place at the level of the state and the local council. Only about 30% at the federal level. And yet, the federal government of the United States is not weak. It's a strong federal government. So the balance between federal powers and state powers in America is almost perfect. And I think it's something we should study very carefully when we are talking about restructuring Nigeria, constitutional restructuring. Those 2 countries I admire a lot.
And what was your view on Brexit?
I felt that the citizens of the United Kingdom have a right to decide whether they can be members of the European Union or not. You see, people, I believe in the democratic legitimacy, as a foundation for sovereignty. The citizens voted to leave Europe. It is their right. Why must they subject themselves to process? If they don't want, what's the problem? It was voted upon. The Brexit side won. We shouldn't treat them as if they're criminals.
No, I'm asking you now as an economist, in economic terms, yes, in economic terms, do you see Britain gaining more or they are losing something substantial?
I think they will have some losses, significant losses, in the first few years, certainly, because they've been part of the European system for a very long time, and that has helped them economically in many ways too. But, since the politics dictated a different direction, they will have to adjust their economics, and it will take them time. So there will be some short-term losses, but it's a challenge for them to create some long-term benefits out of it.
And do you agree with the theory that for a country that has passed through so much challenges like Nigeria to rise up again, you need a strong leader, and strong leadership might tend towards dictatorship because you have too many battles to fight?
Yeah, let me say that I believe that you can't have strong institutions without having a strong leader. It is weak leaders that try to make institutions weak so that they will seem powerful. A strong leader, creates more value for his or her people by creating strong institutions. That's number one. Number two, I do believe we need strong leaders, but I don't believe we need a dictator. I believe we need strength that is tempered by the ability to compromise and to be pragmatic. So that's the kind of strength we need, mixed with wisdom, mixed with pragmatism, not a dictator. I don't think Nigeria needs a dictatorship. That's not going to fly.
Okay, I think we have to make this a continuous conversation. I believe, I said we have to make this a continuous conversation over time.
Yes.
I've really enjoyed myself. I'm thoroughly educated by your submissions, and I want to thank you at this stage that despite the challenges, you know, we didn't give up. We made sure the show continued. So thank you so much. I don't know if you have some parting words for us.
No, well, I mean, Dele, first of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on your show. It's an honor for me, and I'm glad I have the opportunity to share my views and thoughts about Nigeria and the world with. I have not yet given up on Nigeria, and I don't believe we should, but I believe we should not be rosy. We shouldn't wear rose-tinted glasses. Nigeria has serious problems. We need to address those problems. That's where I am. There are three types of people in Nigeria today. There are those who have written Nigeria off and say it has no hope. There are those who believe that Nigeria has very serious problems which can still be solved. And there are those who believe that there is no problem. Anybody who is saying there's a problem is just being an agitator. And normally, when you look at those kinds of people, they're the people who are benefiting from the system. I believe I belong to the middle group. We have serious problems, but we can solve them. That's my last word.
Thank you so much, Professor Kingsley CHINEDU MOGHALU. Thank you so much for joining me, and I promise you I'll be back. Thank you. God bless you, and my regards to your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Dele.
Our dear viewers, thank you so much for joining us despite the problems that we encountered. But I mean, I think there is always something good in problems. Now we were able to speak directly, and it was so clear. There was nothing like going off and on and on. So it was good that we actually used the phone. I think you've also taught me a lesson tonight that whenever we're doing this, I should also have my phone ready so that we can have a better audio. Thank you so much. This is the first time we're doing that, and it worked perfectly. So thank you, and have a beautiful night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, before we go, we must, let me see, just a minute. Let me see. Sorry. Okay. This is one music I was told he likes, but because of the glitches, I couldn't. But now I'm playing Prince Morocco Maduka. Hey, Anna, yo, thank you so much. I should have made Prof to dance to this song. Oh, Walter, thank you. As you get older, learn to relax and keep life I'm the Okura. Only Okura one of the team. Abia State. Okay, let's play another one. There's another one. Fantastic on Saturday. Oh, wow. Protection. I can be sure your teeth are cavity. Oh, this is okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm enjoying this on Saturday, in the become it's powerful, kind of. Okay, before we go finally. Okay, finally, let's play our own anthem on this program. Where anybody knows that we have our own anthem. So here we go. Baby Serious, how are you, my sister? I've been trying something, but I couldn't reach him. I guess he has switched off his phone. You know, a lot of people are on his case. God will protect him. Hey, Dr. Bamba, how's Kano tonight? That's my best friend in Kano. That was a powerful interview with Professor KINGSLEY, CHINEDU, MOGHALU. I am family. I hope Kano is not too cold today. I know you were complaining about the cold. Eh? Oh, you are my angel, you. Pray for you. You care, yes, so I'm going to attack. I am friendly. Thank you. God bless you all. Good night. Okay, that's good. Wow. Good night, everybody. I need to go and get myself together and sleep sonorously. Yes. Thank you. Bye. It's almost gone. Okay. So, okay.